This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so in the last class we started with Informatica Power Center. So in server, when like during the installation, it will create a domain. So under the domain, we have to create the repository service and integration service. Repository is nothing but a storage area where we can keep all the mappings or whatever the objects we create. Like in Power Center Designer, we imported the source definition, then target definition, created mapping, and then inside the workflow manager, we created the session task workflow. All those objects are going to be stored under these repositories. Okay, so that's the reason we have to create a repository service and then integration service, which is to perform the actual ETL. Okay, so ETL means extract, transform, and load. So that will taken care by integration service. So if there is a source table and target table, from the source, we have to extract the data and transform and load into the target table. For that, if we have created a mapping, and as soon as we start execution of that mapping, it will connect to the integration service. Integration service will start DTM engine. What DTM engine will do, it will validate the mapping, whatever mapping we have created, whether all the links are connected properly or not, that it is going to validate. And then it will validate the source and target database connections. Inside the session task, we give the source and target database connections, right? Those connections it is going to validate. So if they are valid, then it will connect to the source database. From there, it will read the data, then it will give it to the writer. Writer will write the data in the target database. So once the data loaded successfully into the target database, then it will display the status message. So all these things can be taken care by integration service. So we just have to create the integration service. We are not going to perform these 5 steps. Automatically integration service will take care. So after creating the repository and integration service, then we have to install client. So once we install client software, we will get all these client tools: Power Center Designer, Workflow Manager, Workflow Monitor, Power Center Repository Manager, like that. Okay. And then whatever repository we have created here in administrator, the same repository we have to add in these client tools. If we add that repository in the repository manager, automatically that repository will reflect in all these client tools. After adding the repository, we have to configure the domain to establish a connection between client and server. Once the domain configuration also done, we have to create the folders under that repository. So under this folder only, whatever the folder we are going to create under repository manager, so under that folder only we are going to create the mapping, session, workflows, and all. Okay, so this is also again admin tool. So in real time Informatica administrator team will be there. So they are going to take care to add the repository, configure the domain, creating the folders and all. Okay, so once this done, then to start create with the mapping. So first we have to open the Power Center Designer tool. Before that, we should have to create the source and target tables, and we have to insert some records in the source table, and then we should not insert any records into the target. And as soon as we start, then here after inserting the data in the source table, we should also have to execute the commit to save the data permanently. And then we have to open the Power Center Designer tool. So here, so to open the Power Center, we have to go to the start, so Informatica folder. From here we have to select the Power Center Designer. So as soon as we click on it, so it will open the Power Center Designer tool, and then we can see the repository. So once we see the Power Center Designer tool, and here we have to select the repository, right click, connect. It will ask us to enter the username password. After entering the username password, just connect. It will connect to the repository. Okay, so how would we know whether it is connected or not? If you are able to see the folders under this repository, that means we have connected to the repository. After connecting to the repository, we have to open the folder. So to open the folder, select the folder, right click, open. Once we open, then only we will get the workspace like this here. Okay, so here we have created the mappings, right? So once we are able to open the folder, first step, so the same 6 steps we have to follow. Import the source definition. So to import the source definition, we should be under source analyzer. So once we are under source analyzer, go to the menu, sources, import from database. So from here we have to give the ODBC data source to connect it to the Oracle database, then the username, password, connect, and we'll get the specific tables list. So from that list, we have to select the specific table. Okay, and then click on OK. As soon as we click on OK, so we will get the source definition. This is called source definition. Definition means only the structure will be there. Employee number, name, salary. These are the column names, right? So these are the column names, and this is called source definition. Once we import the source definition under sources folder, here we will get whatever the source definition we have imported. So next, the second step, we have to import the target definition. To import the target definition, we should be under second tab, right? So we have to click on second tab here, which is target designer workspace. Always we have to import the sources under source analyzer, and always we have to import the targets under target designer. Once we are under target designer, then go to the menu, import from database, right? So here also the same way, we have to enter the username, password, and select the specific target definition, and then click on OK, so that the target definition will be imported. Once the target definition is imported, the same target definition you can see under targets folder. Okay, so that is second step. After importing the target definition, third step, we have to create a mapping. To create a mapping, go to the mapping designer, fifth tab. Third and fourth we'll discuss later in the future class. But for now, to create a mapping, we should have to go to the mapping designer. And once we are under mapping designer, we have to go to the menu mappings, create. As soon as we select the create option, it will ask us to select the, it will ask us to give the name to the mapping. As I said, mapping name always should start with small m underscore, and then rest of the letters are capital letters. And this is not mandatory. This is the standard which we have to follow. And small m underscore, then some meaningful name we have to give. After giving the name to the mapping, we have to drag and drop the source definition from sources folder. So as soon as we drag and drop the source definition, along with the source definition, here the source qualified transformation also will be created. We'll discuss what is the source qualified transformation. So after drag and dropping the source definition, we also have to drag and drop the target definition here. So source we have to keep at left side, and always targets we have to keep at right side in the mapping. Okay, so after drag and dropping the source and target definition, we'll get like this. There would not be any link between source qualifier and the target definition. You just have to right click here, select all, place the cursor on the first column, which is the employee number, drag and drop our target definition employee number, so that all these columns will be mapped from source to target definition. Okay, this is called mapping. So whatever we have here, like source definition, source qualifier, and the target definition, this is called mapping. So after creating a mapping, we have to save the mapping. Go to the menu repository, save, or control yes. So once you click on control yes, it will be saved, and also we can see the status here, whether whatever the mapping we have created, which is valid or invalid, or if there are any errors, it will also display the error message here. Okay, so that is third step. So after creating a mapping, we have to create a session task. To create a session task, we have to open the workflow manager. This is another client tool, Power Center Workflow Manager. So for that, in designer, go to the and like here we have the button W, workflow manager. So if you click on that one, automatically workflow manager tool will open. There we have to create a session task, right? So all these steps we in the last class we discussed. So once the Power Center Workflow Manager is open, so to create a session task, we should be under Task Developer Workspace. Then we have to go to the menu Tasks Create. As soon as we select the Create option, it will ask us to give the session name. So session name always should start with small s underscore, and then the mapping name we have to give. Okay, so this, yes.
Ali, this is Malar. I'm new to the class. Today, I'm joining the class. I have a question, like the target table. It should
Yes,
be.
yes.
Do we have to create that empty target table back in
Exactly.
Oracle? Okay.
Yes, yes.
The same
So
structure it should be there. Whatever the
source
source,
structure is the same.
we
Same
should
structure.
create. Okay, empty table. Okay, okay.
So I will create practically another example after I'm just going through whatever we discussed in the last session, because some like you have joined and also two more students joined today. So for them, so I'm just going through what we discussed in the last session.
Okay, Thank you.
We'll create another mapping there. I will show you
Sure.
practically.
Thanks.
Ali,
Okay.
I had a doubt.
Yes.
I had a question. What's the difference between step 3 and step 4? Create mapping and create session task. What's the difference between them?
The mapping, that is just will map like from source to target, which column to which column we have to load the data. So here we are just mapping source employee number to load into the target employee number. Source employee number data we are mapping to load into the target employee number. So what this will do, this knows that it should have to load the source employee number into the target employee number, source name to the target employee name, target table employee name. And in the same way, source table data, it knows that source salary should load into the target salary, like that. So after creating a mapping, the fourth step, we have to create a session task. So here in workflow manager, we have to create a session task. Why we are creating the session task? To provide the source and target database connections. So this is for to provide the source and target database connections. Are we giving the connections inside the mapping? Source and target database connections? No, right? We are not giving the connections. Okay, we have just mapped which column to which column we have to load the data. Whereas in the fourth step, after creating a session, we are giving the source and target database connections. With the help of those connections only, it will connect to the database to read the data and to write the data. Okay, clear?
Yeah, clear.
Yeah.
So
So
after
the actual
creating,
loading, Ali, so the actual loading happens in the fourth and fifth step, right? After executing this.
yes, fourth and fifth step. After doing all these
So,
things only, then only once we start execute, then only actual process will happen. Just
okay,
by
so the
creating,
integration, okay, so the
yes,
integration service, it happens parallelly when we execute that.
exactly. So after execution only, integration will take care to perform these 5 steps.
Okay.
So after creation of fifth step, and if we select that start workflow. So after creating a workflow, we have to select the start workflow here. As soon as we click on start workflow, then only, so here itself we have the integration service. So that will connect to the integration service. Integration service will start the DTM engine for this mapping session workflow. And as soon as integration started execution, then it will validate whatever mapping we have created here, and then it will validate the source and target database connections what we have given inside the session task. So here inside the session task under mapping tab, we give the connections, right? So these connections it will validate, so whether these are valid or not. And like validate means with the help of this connection, it will connect to the source database and it will check whether this table exists or not. In the same way, with the help of this connection, it will check, it will connect to the database and it will check whether this table exists or not inside the database. So if it is able to connect to the database and if the tables are present, then fine. So the connections whatever we have given, those are valid. Okay, and then it will proceed further. It will enable the reader thread and it will connect to the source database. From there, it will read the data and it will give it to the writer. Writer will write the data in the target database. And the same statistics we can see in monitor tool. As soon as we start execute, so if I click on start workflow, as soon as we start execute, automatically monitor tool will open and we can see the status is running. And if you double click on the session task, you will get the source and target statistics also. We can see there are 6 rows in the source table, all the 6 rows loaded into the emp underscore t table, and rejected rows 0, none of the rows got rejected. And throughput rows per second means, so this is the count whatever the number we have here, and throughput, okay, those many number of records the reader has read per second. Okay, and whatever the number of records we have corresponding to emp underscore t, these many number of records writer has loaded into the target table per second. So like that we can see the statistics in monitor tool. This is the workflow monitor tool. So here we can see the status and the statistics and the duration also, what time, like how much time it took to execute, and also at what time execution has started, and time, like this. So this is what we discussed in the last session. Now today We'll start with another example. Any questions before we start?
Yes, sir. So that the last step, Power Center Repository Manager, that we not worry.
Yeah, so that one, as I told, this is administrator tool. And once we create a once we add the repository and configure the domain, created the folders, and so that I mean, like this repository and the folder, it will be there forever, right? So again, in future, if you want to create another any new repository, or if you want to create any new folder under the same repository, then only we have to go to this repository manager tool. Otherwise, not required. So 99% will be working in these three tools only, first three tools. This is only for the first time. First time, if you have added the repository, configured the domain and created the folders, and no need to again and again use this repository manager tool. Only these three tools only we will be using
Okay.
to
And on
perform
the
6
and
steps.
on the server side, and on the server side also, is it the same? Like we just install that software the first
Exactly.
time and then we leave it there?
Yes, server side also the same repository service and integration service. Only for the first time we create the repository and integration service. Every time or every day, it is not necessary to create the repository and integration service. So once it
Okay.
is created, it will be there forever. Every time for every mapping, we no need to log into the admin. We no need to check whether the repository service is running or not, or we no need to create a new repository and all. Only for the first time. So first time we have created rep_dev, it will be there forever. So under the same repository only, we will be creating the mappings. So every time we no need to go here to the administrator, every time we no need to log into the repository manager. Only these three tools always every day we have to keep open, and because we'll be working on these three tools and we'll be performing these 6 steps for any mapping.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Okay, so no need to open the repository manager and no need to log into the administrator every time. First, you have to open the designer tool. There you have to right click on repository, connect. If you are not able to connect, as I told, you have to go to the services. Type here in search services, open the services window. Okay, so here select any one of the service and press I. It will take you to the services. Name starts with I. Under that you can see Informatica service. So the status, it should be running always. If it is not running, right click on it, you will get the start option. You have to start it. Then it will allow you to connect. Okay.
So is it the same when we make a mapping between two new tables?
Yes. So again, that's what. So if you create a new source table, two new, I mean like another new source table, another new target table, you have to follow the same 6 steps.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Okay, that's what I asked you to practice. In the last class, we discussed, I mean, like practically everyone did to create a mapping session workflow and all. So same thing I asked you to practice. Fine. So now in today's session, we'll start with the source qualifier transformation. So after drag and dropping the source definition from the sources folder, here in sources folder, we have only source definition. But when we drag and drop that source definition into the mapping designer, so I mean like automatically along with the source definition, source qualifier will be created. Source qualifier is one of the transformations. Okay, so we have transformations in Informatica. Source qualifier is one of the transformations. So we'll start with the source qualifier. What is that source qualifier? What we can do by using that source qualifier? Source qualifier transformation. Okay, so the first example in source qualifier. Load distinct records from source to target table. Okay, what it means. So while creating a source table, you give this name to the source table. Employee SQ means source qualifier. We are practicing the source qualifier example. And since this is the first example, you can give the table name at the end S1. S means source. Employee number, employee name.
Hello? I'm not able to hear.
Me too. I can't hear him.
Hello? Ali? Not able to hear you.
Devi, can you hear me?
Yeah,
I'm Rahul.
yeah, I can hear you,
Yeah,
but I
even I
can't hear
cannot
any.
hear you, Ali.
Even I can't hear Ali. I guess we'll just text him.
So manually we have to create the tables in the last. So like this table at the end, we should have to know what is
Ali?
to insert the data and
There's a
extracting the
disturbance
data
from
and
your
don't
side.
execute the okay. You see there are total records. Out of you want to load all the files. Can you tell me how many distinct records are there?
Ali, we couldn't hear you still now.
Able to hear me?
Only now.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yes,
now
I
only
can
we
now.
hear
Yes,
you.
sir. Yes, sir. Now we
Can
can
you
hear
hear
you.
me now?
Yeah, only now. Like previously, we couldn't hear you at all.
We couldn't hear you while you were creating the table.
Okay. Okay, okay, fine. Okay. Now it's clear, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's clear, but
yes,
your
Yeah.
screen is not shared, I guess.
Now is that clear?
Yes,
Yes.
now it's
Yeah.
clear. Can
Yes,
you
yeah.
please go again, like back and
Oh.
explain what you were telling?
Yeah. Okay. So here the requirement is loading the distinct records from source to target table. Okay, so we don't want to load all the records. So from this source table, we have to select the distinct records. Can you tell me how many distinct records are there in the source table?
Three.
Three?
How many?
Three?
Three.
Distinct
One.
records.
Three.
So only those three distinct records we have to load into the target. Last two are the duplicate records, right? So these two are the duplicates. Okay, we don't want to load the duplicate records. We want to load the unique records or distinct records from source to target table. So please be on mute. If you have any questions, you can unmute and ask. Okay, so while loading the data from source to target, we don't want to load all the records. We want to load only distinct records from source to target table. So to load the distinct record from source to target table or from the table to select the distinct records, in SQL, we have the query like this. Select a distinct employee number, employee name, salary from source table. This is the SQL query, right? Okay, so this is the SQL query to select the distinct records. Now this query will select only the distinct records, and whatever the records written by this query, we have to load only those records from source to target table. Okay, so we'll do this practically. empsq_s1. So in my system, I have already created the table. Okay, but since many of you are new, let me drop this table and recreate. I'll drop this table and again I will create source and target tables. Fine. So like this, you have to create a table. Create table empsq_s1, employee number, employee name, varchar 2 of 10, salary, number. So like this, we can write a create table statement to create a table, and to execute, here we have the button to execute, or you can press Control Enter. You can see table got created.
Ali, this is Malar
Yes.
again. Like one
Yes.
question. So Informatica supports only Oracle, or I can connect through SQL Server on any other database?
Any database, not to a specific database. So Informatica supports any type of source database. It can be Oracle, Sybase, DB2, Teradata, SQL Server. Okay, flat files. So any source system.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So insert into table name, values. Okay, employee number, employee name, and salary. One row inserted. So we can insert, change the values 20. $30. Like this, I have inserted 5 records. After inserting, it is mandatory to execute the commit. Okay, now if you see the data in the source table, we have got 5 records. Out of these 5 records, last two are the duplicate records, and first 3 are the unique or distinct records. Okay, now the target table, we can use the same create table statement. Okay, so because it is going to be the same structure, so create table empsqt, one employee number, name, salary. So we can place the cursor on top of this and press Control Enter so that the table will be created. And to see the target table, we can write a query. So we can see we don't have any data. Source contains total 5 records, whereas target contains 0. Okay. Now what we have to do, we have to select the distinct records from the source table, and we should have to load those distinct records from source to target. For that, we are going to create a mapping. So to start create with the mapping, as I said, we have to follow these 6 steps. First, we have to open the Power Center Designer tool. There we have to import the source definition. Now, so we have opened Power Center, connected repository, and we have opened the folder. And to import the source definition, first we should be under Source Analyzer. So once we are under Source Analyzer, we already have one source definition. We should not delete this one. Okay.
So I have a
what we
question.
have, yes.
Should I create those tables now? The one you just showed?
No, not now. So
Okay.
you have to create all these things after the class. So in the last session, parallelly we did everyone, when like in the same time we did everyone, and we could able to create the mapping. Now from today onwards, so I'll be explaining here and practically I will show here. Okay, so creating the table and creating the mapping and all practically I will show, and I will execute, I mean, and also I will show you the output. So after the class you have to practice.
Okay.
Okay, so you just look here and then try to follow, and if you are not getting, then you can ask me the questions anytime. Okay, but the practice you have to do after the class. So if you are going to practice in class itself, then it will take yesterday only I mean, like for only one mapping we took around 1 hour. Okay, so that is the reason. So you can practice after the class. Fine. So we have created the source and target tables. After creating the source and target tables, to start with importing the source definition, we should be under Power Center Designer. Once we are under open the Power Center Designer, we have to connect to the repository, open the folder. Then the first tab, Source Analyzer, we should be under Source Analyzer. Okay, already we have the source definition. We should not delete the source definition. What we have to do? We have to clear this workspace. So for that, you have to right click here in blank space. You will get clear all. As soon as you clear, that will disappear. Okay, but still it will be there under sources folder. Again, if you want, you can drag and drop here. You will get it, but you should not delete. Right click, clear all. Okay. Now to import the new source definition. So this is our source definition, source table that we have to import. Go to the menu, sources, import from database. Okay, and here there is a search box, right? So whatever table we want to import, you enter that one here, because after connecting here there will be multiple tables, like huge number of tables, hundreds of tables will be there. It would be difficult to search from that list. Okay, so if you enter the table name whatever you are looking for, and then enter the username and password, connect. If you connect, it will open that specific table. Otherwise, if you do not enter the table name, and if you directly connect like this under system tables, see, so many tables are there. So it would be difficult to search. It will take some time. So instead of that, whatever table you are looking for, so you just copy the table name, enter here in the search box, and then connect. So it will connect and it will open that specific table whatever we are looking for, right? So select that one and click on OK. So as soon as you click on OK, we have got the source definition. This is called source definition. The same whatever we have imported, that we can see under sources folder. Imported the source definition. Next, the second step, we have to import the target definition, right? So to import the target definition, what we have to do? Select the target table here. Go to the second tab, which is target designer. Here also already we have the target definition. We have to clear this space. Right click, clear all. Then go to the menu targets, import from database, enter the table name and copy the username or password, enter the password, connect. It will open that specific target what we are looking for. Okay, so imported the target definition, right? So after importing the source and target definition, third step, we have to create a mapping. To create a mapping, we should be under mapping designer. So here we cannot clear. So you can see the clear all is disabled. We cannot clear the mapping. To start creating the new mapping, what we have to do? So directly we can go here, mappings, create. As soon as you click on create, you can see you cannot see the previous mapping, right? So it will disappear. So as soon as we start, we cannot clear the mapping. We can clear only source definition and target definition. Mapping we cannot clear. Okay, so as soon as we start creating the new mapping, automatically that will go and it will ask us to enter the new mapping name. So new mapping name should start with small m underscore. Here what we are doing, emp yes to S1, right? This is S1 to T1 distinct load. Like this, some meaningful name you can right? So what we are doing, we are loading the data from S1 to T1 table, and what records we are trying to load? Distinct records. So like this, we can give some meaningful name. Click on OK. So as soon as we click on OK, so we'll get the mapping name, and the same mapping name we can see under mappings folder. Here we have got that mapping. Okay, and then we have to drag and drop the source definition from sources folder to the mapping designer. As soon as we drag and drop, along with the source definition, source qualifier also will be created. Yes.
So the previous mapping is still visible, right? Below that mappings
Yes,
folder.
previous mapping. Yes, previous mapping. If you want, you just have to select that one, drag and drop to here. So if you want to see the previous mapping,
But we cannot delete it, huh?
you should not delete it.
Okay.
You should not delete. You can drag and drop or right click on it, open, so that it will come here. Whatever we are doing. So after drag and dropping the source definition, we also have to set the target definition, drag and drop the target definition. And then right click, select all the ports, place the cursor on ENO, drag and drop on ENO, so that automatically all the columns will be linked like this. Okay, so with this we have created the mapping, but this mapping still we have not specified to load the distinct records from source to target table. So what do we have to do to load only distinct records? For that we have SQL query, select a distinct column names from the source table name. Okay, let me write that query here. So now if you execute this table query, it will select all the 5 records. Now to select the distinct records, select a distinct star. Star means all the columns of the table. Okay, or you can also write the column names, employee number, employee name, salary. So if you write all the columns also fine. Okay, so we have got all the columns here, and 3 rows, 3 distinct rows. It doesn't matter whether it is if it is not in order. In source table you can see, so we have 10, 20, 30 like this. Whereas if you execute the distinct query, you are getting 30 first. Okay, but that is not our requirement. We have to look for whether we have got these unique records or distinct records or not. Okay, only that we have to look into it. So now we have got the distinct records here. Okay, so this is the query we have to write inside the Informatica. So where do we have to write that query? Right click on the source qualifier, edit, or you can double click. So first tab we have transformations, transformation. So here we can see the transformation name, and if you want to add any description about this transformation, you can write it, otherwise we can leave that as it is. Second tab we have ports. Okay, so ports here, employee number, employee name, salary. These are the column names, right? In table, employee number, employee name, salary, these are the column names. Whereas here in Informatica, we have to call these are. So in Informatica, we have to call these are port names, ports. I repeat, employee number, employee name, salary. Here in database table, we call these are columns. Okay, whereas in Informatica under transformations we have to call those are ports. So from now onwards I will not call these are the column names here in Informatica. So I will call these are the port names. Employee number is a port. Okay, employee name is a port, salary is a port. These are the port names. We have to call these are ports. Terminology is very important. Okay, so you should not say by mistake these are columns. Okay, even though those are columns, when we are talking about in Informatica, we have to call those are ports. Fine. Next, third tab we have properties. Under properties, first option or first property you can see SQL query. Right side we have a value field, and there we have the down arrow. As soon as we click on down arrow, we will get the SQL editor to write the SQL query. So like this, inside the source qualifier transformation, we can write the SQL query under the properties SQL query field. Okay, so whatever SQL query we have, like select a distinct employee number, employee name, salary from this source table. Like this, we can write a query, and after writing a query, sometimes it may happen to write incorrect spelling, right, or incorrect syntax. Okay, so for that reason, to check whatever the query we have written, whether it is a valid or not, so here we can give the ODBC data source and then username, password, validate. It will connect it to the database and it will check whether this table exists or not, and inside the table these columns are present or not. All those things it will check, and if everything exists, then it will say no errors detected. Suppose let's say here I have given salary 1. So in our database table we have the column name as salary, we don't have salary 1, but in my query I have put the salary 1. So now if I am trying to validate, it is going to display invalid query. Why this is invalid? Click on OK. OK. To see the error message, you can see at the bottom of this Power Center Designer, you can see the message. Salary 1 invalid identifier, right? So bottom of this one Power Center Designer tool, it will display what is the error message. Salary 1. So we can remove that one, validate, no errors detected, click on OK. So like this, we can write a query not only to select the distinct records. Depends on our requirement, we can write any query to select the specific records from the source table. Now I have written the distinct query, click on apply, okay, that's it, save. So every time after making the changes, we have to save the mapping. To save, we have to press Ctrl yes. Okay, so now we have created the mapping, and inside the source qualifier we have also written a query. Remember, if there is no query inside the source qualifier transformation, then it will read all the records from the source table. If there is a query inside the source qualifier transformation, then reader first it will execute the query, and whatever the records written by that query, it will load only those records into the target table. It will not load all the records. So as soon as we start execute, so that DTM engine, it will validate the mapping source and target database connection, and then it will enable the reader thread, right? The reader thread, as soon as it is enabled, it will go to the source qualifier. There it will check, is there any query written inside the source qualifier? So if there is no query, then it will, if there is no query inside the source qualifier, then it will read all the records from the source. Or if there is a query, then first it will execute the query, and whatever the records written by that query, it will load only those records to the target table. Okay. Now after creating a mapping, we have to create a session task under Workflow Manager. So to create a session task, we should be under Task Developer, right click, clear. Here also we'll get the clear all, but still that session task will be there here. Again, if you want, you can drag and drop. Okay, clear. Then tasks, create.
Should we always do the clear all before doing creating a new one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And I was practicing. I didn't do that, and
yes.
So, but it didn't show any error message.
It will not fail. It will not show any error, but it is suggestible to clear the space so that you will not get confused. If you don't clear, if you have created 10 mappings, 10 session tasks, you will get 10 session tasks here, and you don't know which one you have created now. It will take some time to identify which you have created, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
Okay, session task name should start with small s underscore, and whatever the name we have given to the mapping, the same name we have to give as it is. Okay, it is not mandatory, but we have to follow the same standard. And then create. As soon as you click on create, so it will ask us to select the mapping for which mapping we are creating a session task, right? So we are creating this session task for this mapping. So we have to select the specific mapping for which mapping we are creating a session task. Okay, sometimes whatever is there, you will leave that as it is and you just click on OK, but that is not suggestible. We have to select the specific mapping for which mapping we are creating the session task. Click on OK so that the session task will be created. So after creating a session task, as I said, like, we have to provide the connections inside the session task, right? So again and again, we no need to create a connection. So this also only for the first time. Here we have created the connection. New connection we have created only for the first time. That will be there forever. We just have to open the session task, right click, edit, go to the mappings tab and connections. And also here you can see we have not set the connection, but we have got the connections automatically. How come it is? Means whatever connections we have given to the first session task which we have created, so by default if you create a session task also, it will take the same first session task connections, the same connections it will take whatever we have given under first session task. Again, if you create a third session task, fourth session task also, it will take the same connections by default. Okay, if there is any change in the connections, then only we have to go and select another connection. Otherwise, if there is no change in the same database, only we are creating the source and target tables, then no need to change the connection. We just have to leave that as it is. Okay, so every time we don't need to create a connection, we no need to give the connections here. So we can just create a session task, leave it. So if there is any change inside the connection, then only we have to change the new connection. So after creating a session task, next step we have to create a workflow. So to create a workflow, so here we already have the workflow. We cannot clear here. Okay, mapping and the workflow we cannot clear. That clear all is disabled. Okay, now as soon as you start creating the new workflow, automatically this will disappear. Create. Now you can see we don't have that workflow. Okay, so workflow name should start with small wf underscore mapping name. You have to copy the mapping name from here, go to the menu mappings, edit, we'll get the mapping name from here. You can select this one, Control C, okay, and Control V. So always like this, you can copy paste the mapping name instead of typing. Okay, if you type sometimes again it may happen to write incorrect spelling. So that is the reason always we have to do the copy paste. Okay, so like that you have to give the workflow name, click on OK. So after giving the name to the workflow, then we have to drag and drop the session task. So this is the session task for which we are creating this workflow. Then we have to give link the tasks, link task, linked, done, save. Repository, save or Control S. So it will save, and if there are any errors, it will display whether whatever the workflow we have created, whether that is valid or not. Okay, if there are any errors, it will display here. Otherwise, you can leave that. So we have done with all these 5 steps. Okay, now it is ready to execute. So if we start execute, it will read the data from the source, and before reading the data from the source, it will just check whether is there any query written inside the source qualifier. Right, let's start workflow. As soon as I click on start workflow, so we can see here the status, select a double click, automatically that session will start running and we can see the status. So from the source EMP SQ underscore S1, how many records it has read? 3 records. Okay, and into this target EMP SQ T1, how many records loaded? 3 records. But total, how many records are there in our source table? There are total 5 records. Even though there are 5 rows, how many records it has read from the source? Only 3. Why it has read only 3? Because inside the source qualifier we have written a query, and that query is a distinct query, and that query has written only 3 records. That's the reason reader only those 3 records it has read from the source table, and only those 3 records loaded into the target table. Now after seeing the status has succeeded, we can go here and execute the target table query. This is a target table query, and if we execute this one, so we have got the distinct records. Like this, if there are duplicate records in the source table, if you don't want to load the duplicate records, we can write a query inside the source qualifier transformation to select the distinct records and load those distinct records into the target table. Clear? Any questions here?
But in the source, there are 5 records, no, Ali. then why it is showing as 3? We applied the distinct functionality on the target table, right?
Not the target. Inside the source, we have applied the distinctor. Here inside the source qualifier, we have written a query. So if there is no query, then reader will read all the records. If there is a query, so reader, what it will do, it will check is there any query written inside the source qualifier. So if there is a query, reader is going to execute this query on top of the source database, and whatever the records written by this query, so it will read only those records from the source table. It doesn't matter whether you have 5 records or 5 million records. If this query has written only 3, even though you have 5 million, it will read only those 3 records and it will load only those 3 records to the target. So if there is no query, if you have not written any query inside the source qualifier, then if you have 5 records, or it will load all the 5 records. If you have 5 million, it will load all the 5 million records.
Could you show once again where did you write the query specifically? Is it under the transformation tab?
Exactly, not in transformation tab, under properties tab. So we can double click or we can open like this, right click, edit, and properties tab. Under properties, first property we have SQL query. So here we have to click on it, you will get the SQL editor. So here we have to write the query.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so like this.
Okay.
Another example. So while practicing, you create another source table like this. So here we have to load only where salary greater than 200. Okay, something like this. You create another source and target table, EMP SQ _S2. Employee number, employee name, salary, 1A 100, 2B 200, 3C 300, 4D 400. Okay, 1A 100. So like this, you insert some 5 records like this. Okay, and then create another like target table D2. So here we have to load only salary greater than 200. Can you tell me what is the SQL query for this, and how many records that SQL query will return?
We have to use where condition.
Yes. So you have to write the query like this: select star from EMP SQ _S2. Okay, where salary greater than 200. Now this query will return how many records?
2 records.
Only 2. So what are those 2 records?
3 and 4.
Exactly, 3 and 4. Okay, so like this, we can also write a query, not only distinct to select the specific record from the source table. We can write a query like this. So now salary greater than 200. Here we have only 2 records, 3 and 4. Okay, only for these 2 records this condition is going to satisfy, and after successful of execution you will get only 3 and 4 records to the target. We don't want to load all the records, so we have to load only those records where salary greater than 200. Sorry, salary greater than 200. That means 300 and 400 records are going to be loaded into the target table. So this one, you create a source table, target table, create mapping session, workflow, everything, execute and see whether you are getting the expected output or not. Yes.
Yeah. At a time, can we do two, 3 transformation at a time? Like the same time we do different records and the same like condition, salary more than 200 or less than 100, something like that. Can we do everything in one time? Is it possible?
Yes. So if you want to do everything in one time, you have to write a, I mean, like in the same query, you can add some more conditions like salary greater than 200 and employee number is equals to 4.
A number of where conditions and order by, group by, everything we
Yes,
can.
everything we can write here.
Okay, thank you.
So that is the reason you should have the basic knowledge of SQL. So when like writing the queries, I mean like select statement again, if you want to update the data, delete the data. Okay, so that is the reason here I have asked you to create the tables manually so that you will also get the hands-on experience to write the queries, like creating the table, inserting the data, selecting the data. Again, if you want to update the table, we are also going to write the update statement, deleting the table data, right? So all these things you can practice parallelly. And also I have shared the material, right? So in that material you have the SQL material. So there, if you don't know what is the query to create a table or to insert the data or to update the data or to drop the data, you can just refer that SQL material, search in that. If you are looking for a insert statement, you press Control F, find, there you type create. So it will take you to like create table statement. Okay, right?
Yeah,
So this
thank you.
you create a table, source and target tables, and you can practice this one.
Okay, so
Next.
I have one doubt actually. So the
Yes.
source, the idea behind this is we have to copy the data from source to target table, right? And
Yes.
we have this situation comes here that we have to apply two different queries in the same source table, and we have to get the result in the target table. Does that mean we have to create different target table for the same source table, or the source target table keep changing like that? Is that what it is mean?
It depends on our requirement. So here, since it's a training, or you have to do the practice for every mapping, you have to create a new source table, new target table, even though the structures are same in the same. Here the first mapping or the second mapping, just
Mhm.
table names are different, structure is same, employee number, name, salary. Okay,
Okay,
you
so
can use the target
for
table.
each SQL queries, we have to create separate source table and
Not
target table.
not for each SQL query. So I'm
Okay.
telling here for every mapping to create. Before we create every mapping, I'm
Uh-huh.
asking to create a new source table, new target table, instead of using the existing or the previous source and target. So you can also use the same source and target table, and you can create a new mapping. There also you can write a query in the new mapping, select star from the source table where salary greater than 200. Here also we have salary greater than 200, means it will load only 3C 300 record, only one record it will load. So you can
Okay,
also
so
use the same target
it's not,
table. But
if you want to apply a different query, it's like okay, I want to apply select data in which salary is in between 200 and 400. Then that the data in the target table keep changing on the basis of the SQL that I'm applying, right?
exactly. So whatever the SQL you are writing there, based on that, the data also will change. So in the
Okay.
first example, we are selecting the distinct, but in the
Okay.
second example, we are not selecting distinct. We are, as per the business requirement, we want to load the records where salary greater than 200.
Okay, so the source table is one which is permanent, and target table which keep changing according to your requirement. Is that what you?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I get it. Okay.
Permanent means here also you can see the first table contains, we have different data, one,
Mm-hmm.
two, three, and 1, 2 here. Here 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Data also different.
Okay. Yeah, I get that. Okay.
Okay.
And can we use the target table as a source table? Is it possible? Like more?
Yes, we can
Uh,
use in future classes. We'll have such type of examples also.
okay.
We'll see that we can also use. But now here, don't consider the target as a source. Okay, so create a source table, target table separately like that, and you create a mapping to load the data from source to target. Okay, any other questions? Okay, next example. Load distinct records.
So I had a question.
Yes.
If you want to execute multiple queries, then what do we do then?
So we'll discuss. So next example. After third, we have fourth example. So there I will tell you how we can write the multiple queries in the fourth example. Okay, so load distinct records from source to target table by using distinct checkbox. What is this? So here you create another source and target table. S3. This is third example, and here we should have the same data like this. Insert, create a same table with these columns and duplicate records, and target table emp sq underscore t3, employee number, employee name, salary. So here also requirement is same as the first example. Okay, but in this example we are not going to write a query. Okay, so if you go to the source qualifier here, okay, instead of writing the query to select the distinct records, let's say now we don't have any query. Okay, there is a checkbox. This is called checkbox, select a distinct. So if you enable this checkbox, then automatically this will, load the distinct records from source to target table. So to load the distinct records, we don't want to write we don't need to write a query inside the source qualifier transformation. We also have another property, select a distinct. If you enable the checkbox, automatically this tool will select the distinct records. Okay, even though now there is no query, but since we have selected the selected distinct checkbox property, that tool reader while executing automatically it will write a query and it will select only distinct records from the source table and it will load the distinct records into the target table. Okay, so in the third example, you don't don't write the query inside the source qualifier transformation. Just create the source and target table and create a mapping. Inside the mapping, without writing a query, you just select the selected distinct checkbox and create a session task. For every mapping, you have to follow those 6 steps. You have to create a session task, workflow, execute, and see. So even after selecting that selected distinct checkbox, whether you have got the distinct records from the source or not. Okay, now what is the difference when we have to write a query inside the source qualifier to select the distinct records, or when we have to go this option, distinct checkbox, when we have to select? What is the difference? What will happen if you write a query here and when we have to select the selected distinct? Any idea? What is the difference writing the query and selecting this option?
It will avoid duplicates.
When we have to execute different queries, and want a distinct option as well.
No. Okay, so we'll see what is the use or what is the difference when we have to write a distinct query here to select the distinct records, or when we have to go for select a distinct checkbox. Means, suppose let's say in a table there are 100 columns. Okay, select in a table, let's say we have employee number, employee name, salary, phone number, email, okay, address. So like this, let's say there are 100 columns. Okay, so if you enable the selected distinct checkbox, then at runtime what it will do, it will write a query like this: select a distinct star from source table. Okay, like this it will write a query. Star means it will select how many columns. If there are 100 columns in a table, how many columns it will select here in distinct?
All the tables, all the columns.
All the columns, right? All the 100 columns it will do. That means it will do the distinct on all the 100 columns. Okay, now I don't want to do the distinct on all the 100 columns. I want to do the distinct on these 4 or 5 columns. So if you want to select the distinct only on 5 columns, even though there are 100 columns in a table, I don't want to do the distinct on all the columns. I want to do the distinct on only specific columns, 5 columns or 10 columns. Then what do we have to do? Do we have to enable the selected distinct checkbox, or do we have to write a query like this?
We need to write a query
with whatever the columns we want to select, right? So like this, from source table. So like this we can write a query. Now this query will do the distinct on a specific columns. Okay, in this case we should not select the selected distinct checkbox. So if you select a distinct checkbox, it will do the distinct on all the columns from the table. Sometimes, in real time, we don't want to do the distinct on all the columns. We want to do the distinct on only specific columns from the source table, whatever we are selecting. So if you want to select the specific columns, then you have to write a query. You should not select the select distinct checkbox, and whatever the columns you want to do the distinct. So in the select statement, select the distinct to those specific columns. You have to write like this from source table, so that it will do the distinct on only those columns. Got it? So that is the difference between writing the distinct query and selecting the selected distinct checkbox. Now you know when you have to go for selected distinct checkbox and when you have to write the distinct query. So selected distinct checkbox, it will do the distinct on all the columns. If you don't want to do the distinct on all the columns, if you want to do the distinct on specific columns, then definitely we have to write a query inside the source qualifier. Clear? Okay, so for that you practice this scenario by writing the query once, and also without writing a query by using the selected distinct checkbox. Okay, next example. Fourth. So here what we have to do is, let's say we have the source table and target tables like this. Let me write the table name S4, employee number, employee name, salary. And here also we have the data like this. Okay, and in target table, okay, so target table also you insert some dummy records, something like this. So some records already in source and target table, we should have to have the records like this. And the requirement here is now, so before loading the source data into the target table, we already have some two records. Let's say we already have some two records in the target table. Okay, now before loading the data from source to target table, whatever the records we already have, those records I don't want. I want to truncate the target table. Truncate means deleting all the records. I don't want to have these records in the target table before I load the data. Let's say manually we only keep those records. We only insert some records like this in the target table first. But the requirement before loading the data into the target table, first truncate the target. Before loading source data into target table, truncate and load. So we have to truncate the data. So truncate means delete those records. That is first step. First which we have to perform. Okay, now let's say we have truncated. After truncating from source, we have duplicate records also here. We don't want to load the duplicate records. Load only distinct from source to target. Okay, so load only distinct. First you have to truncate the target table, and then we have to select the distinct record from source, load the distinct records into the target. Yes. Any questions? Steffi, I think you should be on mute. Please be on mute. Okay, so select the distinct record from source and load only those distinct records from source to target. After loading the distinct records, After loading the distinct record from source to target, what do we have to do? So we have to check if salary less than or equal to 200. After loading the distinct records from source to target table, we have to check if salary less than or equal to 200. So if it is less than or equal to 200, then we have to add 100 to their current salary. If this condition is true for any of the record, if salary less than or equal to 200, okay, so then we have to add 100 to their current salary. Else means if it is not less than or equal to 100, then we have to keep the same salary. If else, we have to implement. So if we have to check the salary less than or equal to 200 or not. If it is less than or equal to 200, okay, now let's say, so we have truncated that one and we have selected the distinct record. These three are the distinct records, and we have loaded these three distinct records. After loading these three distinct records, each and every employee salary we have to check. What is the salary for the first employee? 100. So what is this condition we have written here? Less than or equal to 200. Condition true or false? True. Since the condition is true, then what do we have to do? We have to update the salary here to 100. Sal plus 100. Current salary is 100. To that 100 we have to add 100 more. Right? Next, for the second record, to be 200. So here, what is the condition? Sal less than or equal to 100. Condition true or false? True. 200 less than or equal to 200. Since it's a true, then again we have to add 100 more to this 200. How about 300? For the third record, do we have to do anything for that record? Is this condition true or false for the third record?
False. No need to do anything.
Exactly. So we no need to do anything for that record. We just have to leave that record as it is. Okay, so you understand the requirement, right? So what we have to do here? So first, before loading the data, we have to truncate the target table. So whatever data we have here, those records we don't want to keep, we have to truncate the target table and then select the distinct records. And then after loading the distinct records, we have to add 100 to their current salary. Now there are multiple requirements here. First, we have to truncate. Second, we have to select the distinct records. Third, we have to update the salary. So do we have
I
the
have a
multiple
question.
SQL queries or not? Yes, tell me.
Yeah, when you say truncate and load, what do you mean? I didn't understand that.
Truncate and load means these two records we have to delete. And then load means these three records we have to load. That is truncate and load. Truncate means deleting existing records from the target table and load the data from source to target. This is load. We have loaded these records.
Thank you.
Yeah. So truncate and load. Truncate means existing records we have to delete and then load. Okay. So those who doesn't have the knowledge in SQL, please go through the SQL recordings parallelly. Parallelly means you have to continue the Informatica. And also parallelly, I've shared the only 5 recorded sessions are there, right? Okay. So every day, if you can go through one recorded session, you will get the knowledge in SQL also. There I have explained in detail what is delete, what is truncate, what is drop, and how to write the queries. Okay, so what will happen if you execute the truncate statement? All these comes under SQL. Okay, so please go through that SQL recorded session so that you will also get the knowledge about that SQL. Okay, that is truncate and load. Any questions here about the requirement? So before we implement this in a mapping, first we have to understand the requirement very clearly. Right? Okay. Now, if you go to the property, I mean like source qualifier transformation properties. So here there are multiple fields to write the SQL queries. First one we have SQL query. Here, if you click on this down arrow, you will get the SQL editor. Here you can write the SQL query. And next you can see pre-SQL. Here also we have a property to write the SQL query. If you click on down arrow, here also you have the SQL editor. Here also you can write the SQL query. In the same way, PostSQL. So PostSQL, here also you have the property to write the SQL query. So we have total those three fields here: SQL query, pre-SQL, and PostSQL. So like this, there are three fields here to write the SQL queries. So what are the three fields we have? Pre-SQL. First we have the SQL query property. Okay. And then we have pre-SQL. Then also we have PostSQL. Okay, these are the three properties we have inside the source qualifier transformation to write the SQL queries. In SQL query also we can write the SQL query. In pre-SQL also we can write a query. Post also we can write the query. Okay. Now, even though there are three fields or three properties we have in source qualifier transformation to write the SQL queries, which SQL query will execute first, and which will execute second, and which will execute third. Okay, means always the pre-SQL. So pre-SQL query will execute at the beginning of the execution. So pre-SQL query will execute at the beginning. As soon as we start execute, first reader, before going to this SQL query property, reader first step, as soon as its reader enables, first it will go here, pre-SQL. Is there any query written inside the pre-SQL? If there is any query written there, then it will execute that query first. That is the first priority reader will do. Okay, so if there is no query, then the second priority, so it will go here, SQL query field. So here it will check. So if there is no query here, then it will go here, SQL query. Here it will check, is there any query written? So if there is any query written here, then that query it will execute, and whatever the records written by that query, it will load those records from source to target table. Okay, so this query will execute immediate after. So after pre-SQL. So immediately after pre-SQL, this SQL query will execute, and it will read what this SQL query will do is it will read the data from source and load into a target. It will read the data from the source table, and like whatever the query we have written, it will execute that query, and that query result it will load into the target. Instead of like this, we can write like a query result. This query result will load into target table. So we have seen practically in the last example here, we have written distinct query, and we have also written this query, and whatever the query we have written inside the SQL query, that query result it will load into the target table. After loading the data into the target table, after loading, we know once the data loaded successfully from source to target table, in monitor tool it will display the succeeded message, right? This will happen succeeded when it will happen at the end of the execution. At the end means after loading all the data from source to target table, which is at the end of the execution, it will display the status message as succeeded. Okay, so before displaying the succeeded message, that is at the end of the execution, this query will execute. At the end of the execution, it will execute, means after loading the data from source to target. So after loading the data from source to target, that is at the end of the execution, post SQL query. So before displaying the succeeded message in target table, so reader will come here and it will check, is there any query written inside the post SQL. So post SQL query, when it will execute at the end of the execution. Now tell me, so here we have three, we have to perform three actions here. So for these, what query we have to write where. The first one, before loading the data, we have to truncate and load. So for that, we have to write a truncate table query. So can you tell me in these three properties, in which property we have to write a query to truncate the target table?
Pre-SQL.
Exactly. So in pre-SQL here we have to write a query. So what query we have to write? Truncate table name. Which table we have to truncate? Source or target?
Target.
Target table we have to write. So T4. Truncate table name. That's it. No semicolon, nothing. We just have to write this query in pre-SQL. So what it will do? So as soon as we start execute, as the first step, whatever these two records are there, it will just delete those two records. Okay. After deleting those two records, second step, what we have to do? Load distinct records from source to target table. From source, we have to select the distinct records. We have seen in the first example, to select the distinct records, where do we have to write a query? In SQL query or post SQL?
SQL.
So here we have to write a query. Select distinct employee number, employee name, salary, or whatever the columns we have. Name, salary, or you can write star, also fine. emp sq underscore s4. So from the source, we have to select the distinct records. And this query, whatever the records written by this query, those three distinct records, it will insert into the target table. Okay, after loading the data into the target table, now third step we have to perform. We have to check if salary less than or equal to 200. Then we have to add 100 to their current salary. Else load the same salary. Load means keep the same salary. Already data loaded. We just have to check if it is less than or equal to 200. We have to update 100. Otherwise, we have to leave as it is. So for that, what we have to do? Where we have to write the SQL statement?
Post-SQL.
Post SQL, that is at the end of the execution. So here what SQL we have to write? Any idea? How do we implement that logic?
We can use the case statement, right?
We can use the
Select
case statement, but we cannot write the case statement here.
select all from the EMP SQ S4 where
We are not selecting, so we just have to update. So we have to write the update statement. Update emp underscore sq t4 target table we have to update. Set salary is equals to sal plus 100 where salary less than or equal to 200. So can you tell me, will it update the salary where sal plus 100 if it is less than or equal to 100? It will update or not? So what it will do after execution of this one, pre-SQL first it will execute. So pre-SQL what it will do, this will truncate the target table. Okay, so we will get the target table like this, and then from the source it will read these distinct records and it will load the distinct records. After loading the distinct record, now this update statement is going to execute here. Now for the first record, salary is 100, which is less than or equal to 100, condition true. So for this salary, it will update it to 200. And then for the second row also, less than or equal to 200, condition true. For this one, it is going to update it to 300. Okay, so for the second row, it is going to update the salary to 300. That's it. So after successful of execution, you will get the data as expected. So we have truncated, and then we have loaded distinct, and then after loading the distinct, we have checked the salary of each and every employee. If it is less than or equal to 100, it has added 100 to their current salary. So for the first record, so in source we have 100, whereas since we have written the update statement in PostgreSQL, it has updated the salary to 200. And same for the second row, updated to 300. Third row, so is it a condition true or false? Third row we have salary as 300 and less than or equal to 200. Is this true or false? False. So since this is false, it is not going to update anything. That's it. So after successful of execution, you will get the data like this in the target table. This is the output. Clear? So this one also you can practice. Got it?
Yes, Ali.
Yes.
So these are the 4 scenarios to practice for the day. This is your output. So for
Okay.
each and every scenario, you create a source target table, and as I explained, you have to create a mapping, session, workflow, everything, execute and see whether you are getting the expected output or not.
Okay.
Fine.
Okay.
So that's all for the day. We'll continue tomorrow. So you practice these 4 scenarios. During the
Sure.
practice, if you're stuck anywhere, you can take the screenshot. You try once, twice, thrice. Still, if you are not getting, you take the screenshot and send in WhatsApp.
Sure. Thank you, Ali.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Yes. No other questions, right?
Yes, sir. I had a question.
Yes.
Again, it's just about some. It's a question about yesterday's class about making that repository and integration service. So, like whenever we start with a new project, not just this today's one, whenever we do a new project, we first install the server-side software. Then we make the repository service and installation service. And then we install the client software, right, sir?
No, not for the new project. You can see here in the last class I've explained. So for the first time we create in real time 4 repositories. These 4 are fixed. So if you have 10 projects or 100 projects also, so these 4 are fixed: development, QA, UAT, and production.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So suppose let's say you are working for telecom project.
Okay.
So in telecom, we know that there is a prepaid and postpaid.
Okay.
Okay. So under this repository, development repository, we will have a separate folder for prepaid, separate folder for postpaid. So all the prepaid related mappings are to load the data. We'll have separate mappings in the prepaid folder. So for every new project, we cannot say that new project, new product, or like a new category. Prepaid is one category, postpaid is another category. We create a new folder under the same repository. We are not going to create a new repository. In the same repository only, we'll create a new folder.
Okay. 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 Yes. No, I was just trying to understand what are the steps, how are the workflow steps, like right from the beginning, like what do we do right from the beginning? That's what I was trying to understand.
Okay, okay. Any other questions?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, fine, thanks.